What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Adults Only. I'm Jahi, and that brother you see on the screen is Chazz. What's happening, man?
Not much. You feeling pretty inspired. I see you did your show yesterday. Normally you be worn out, so you got a little energy today.
Yeah, this is a back to back, and plus the subject matter is really interesting because I really want to talk about it and see what your thoughts are. Because as you look at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see our subject matter, which is what makes life worth living. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we deal with subject matters that sometimes people are afraid to talk about, and sometimes people just don't want to hear. But today is a very, very encouraging one because we're going to be talking about what makes life worth living. So,
Right.
Chaz, let's encourage the people. Do you think this subject is a decent subject?
Yeah, of course, because a lot of people are taking themselves out, they taking others out with them, and for people to have a life worth living, you have to come up with some solutions. So yeah, I think this is a good subject matter.
Okay, well, let's talk about what makes life worth living. Two of the things that we have to deal with first is the reason that life should be worth living is how we think and how we live. Okay. So we're going to talk about those two aspects. We may not get to the one talking about living, but these are the determining factors that makes life worth living. Wouldn't you say so when it comes to what we think and how we live?
Yeah, because it goes hand in hand. How we think is going to determine how we live. So if we think that life is bad or life is just evil or terrible, sometimes we take ourselves out. We do things to get ourselves in prison. So I think they do go hand in hand, and you have to have a positive mind frame because if you don't, like I said, you're going to be on the antidepressants. You're going to be on medicine. You're going to have to go to the psychologist to talk to you about your problems. So yeah, it goes hand in hand.
All right. So, what makes life worth living? We want you to know that we want you to love yourself before we start putting our notes up on the screen. We want you to know that life should be taken seriously. We should be having fun.
Right.
We should be enjoying life. You know, life it only comes once. So
Right.
basically, we need to do the best we can to make the best of it, and we can. Would you say that your life is a life that's filled with fun and enjoyment, Chaz?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I would say I live a mediocre lifestyle, and it's okay with that because a lot of people have the mindset of you have to have this hype lifestyle where you're flying to Cancun, you're flying to Costa Rica, you're flying to California. It's not about that. It's about having a good health, making sure your mind is mentally sharp, and making sure that the people around you are sharp too. So it's not always about, like I said, taking trips 24/7, but I would say my lifestyle is decent. I was going to ask you, how about you, real quick, before we
Yeah,
go
and
to
I,
the
I
next
can
one?
I concur what you say. I'm having fun, man. The older I get, and I'm old, but I'm having a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you, every day I'm smiling more because I realize how precious life is. And as they say, I'm gonna go out with a bang. You know, I'm gonna go out with a bang. And this is something that I want everybody that's watching this to just enjoy. We want you to have fun. Now we don't want you to be foolish, but we want
Right.
you to have fun. We want you to enjoy yourself. You know, take time out and just reflect and have positive thoughts, good thoughts. So yeah, we our lives should be one of just nothing but bliss and peace. And we're going to get into all of that because we want to encourage everybody tonight how we think. Chaz, what does this say? A here, first of all.
How we think our thoughts play a very important role in enjoying our life.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just said that. So, like I said, for example, if you think everybody's out to get you, you think that there's a boogeyman under the table every 5 seconds, if you think that everybody hates you, you're going to have a negative lifestyle, but it's some kind of balance. You got to have some kind of 50-50 here where you know there's evil, you know there's crooks, you know there's crooked people in the world, but you got to also know that there's also good. So, yeah, our thoughts do play a very important role in how we enjoy life. And especially if you have, like I said, a little bit of extra cash, that helps. But yeah, it plays a crucial part in enjoying our life. Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, "What's happening, Kings?" We appreciate her. Sister Marie fires in here. She says, "Hotel brothers." We appreciate her. Sister Mashonda fires in here. She says, "Hello." We appreciate her.
Yeah, Chaz, because I think we really need to start investigating our thoughts.
Letter B. Our thoughts shape what makes life worth living daily. For
Yeah.
example, for the people who are religious, who believe in like the Bible and stuff like that, that's good. How we see life, for example, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. And then also, like I said, just our routines and our daily routines, what we do on a day to day basis. These are things that help shape our lives, and this is the things that make us worth living. What would you say?
I would agree with that. And I would say that we have to put positive thoughts in our mind. Our thoughts have to be really, really good thoughts, because a lot of times negative thoughts and terrible thoughts, they make life boring. They make life humdrum. But we're trying to get everyone to realize that it's the way we think that says a lot about how we see life. And
Right.
if you notice, a lot of us are very, very miserable, and that's because our thoughts are not right. So we want to encourage everybody tonight to just love life to the fullest, enjoy yourself. And I want this to be a really good broadcast of encouragement, because we definitely got to have certain type of thoughts, and that's what we're going to talk about now, the type of thoughts that we should be having.
Grateful thoughts. Focus on what you have, not just what you want, and that's a perfect thing. Like I said, there's a lot of others who are in certain countries and certain states who have it really, really tough, who have it really, really bad, who don't have half the things we have. So being grateful for the things we have, such as shelter, a vehicle, it may not be the best, but it's still getting you to point A to point B. Like I said, an apartment or a house, you have certain things that a lot of people in countries are dying for and being thankful for it. And like on the second part, not just what you want. When you focus on the things that you don't have that you do want, it kind of puts a damper on life. It makes you look at the negative. Well, I don't have this, I don't have that, and it
Yeah.
makes you kind of more negative. So, like you said, you have to focus and be happy about the things that you do have.
Yeah, and be grateful. We have a lot of ingrates, but we should be grateful, because many of us, we have what we need to survive. Now, we always want more, and I understand that, but for the most part, we should focus on those things that bring us joy and excitement, which we're going to talk about later on. But we shouldn't just stay in the basement about thinking about how we want things or what we don't have, and if we had this, we would be that way. And that makes life worth living. And don't try to compare yourself to someone else. And that's
Right,
a big one. I don't think that's on our notes, but I want to put
right,
that in, because a lot of us, we try to relate our lives to maybe a celebrity or an athlete or something, and
right.
that's not fair to us. We'll never be those people. We'll never amass what they have. So why can't we just be grateful and focus on what we do have?
Or not only them, just people in our family, some of the coworkers, some of the people that we see every day at our jobs. We see them in a Hummer or a Mercedes Benz or some of these extravagant cars, and we feel like, well, all I have is a little Toyota, so I must not be doing much. So, like you said, it's not always about comparing ourselves to the famous people. It's about comparing ourselves to people around us, like family members who have a little bit more, and we feel depressed about ourselves because we feel like we can't measure up. So, that was a good point that you mentioned.
Yeah, and that's the question we have for all of our viewers tonight. We want you to comment on what makes life worth living, because if we're living life and it's beautiful, it's enjoyment, then we should have something to say as far as what makes our individual lives worth living. Now, you and I are talking about a lot of different aspects, but whoever's out there that could add to this discussion to say, well, this is what makes my life worth living, we'll talk about that, because we don't have all the answers to everything, but we just have a few to share. And I'm sure the audience, they have a lot of answers too.
Peaceful thoughts, choosing calm over chaos in the mind. Exactly. There's every day, there's a mental battle that's going on constantly in our minds. And like we said, we have to choose peaceful thoughts, thoughts that we can control, thoughts that aren't harmful. Because once again, it's easier for those thoughts of self harm, suicide, to take ourselves out because we don't feel like life is treating us the way it should be. So once again, those peaceful thoughts have to be in there. You should be bombarding yourself with more peaceful thoughts than the negative ones when we're going through things.
That's true. And I know a lot of us say, if I could just have one thing, and we say, well, what is that? Do you want materialism, or what do you want? They'll say, no, I want a peace of mind, because that's hard to capture nowadays with everything that's going on with our health, with these jobs, and just with people. It just a lot of things are going on, and we don't have any peace. Our children, it's just so much chaos going on. And because every time you look around, it's something creeping up in our lives that brings chaos. But we have to begin to choose calm. Notice it says you have to choose these type of thoughts, Chaz. We
Right.
have to choose calmness over chaos. And we can do it. Now, we're not saying that everything is going to go away. Your life is going to be great. You'll never have any issues. But we're saying, even through the midst of the storm, the chaos that brings us every day in our lives, we should have a calmness, man. We should have some kind of serenity. There should be something that's going to make us go through this life where we feel just relaxed and at ease, Chaz, because it's just too much going on, and I don't want anyone to leave this earth before their time,
Mm.
worrying all the time. But we have to choose it now. That's a choice, Chaz. When you say that choice is crucial.
Yeah, it is. It's a crucial part that plays along in all of this. And like you said, you don't want anybody leaving this earth prematurely before their time. So it goes back to, like you said, choosing these peaceful thoughts. Sister Barbara Fries in here. She says, I'm learning to live my best life. What others think of me doesn't matter. How my family, some of them, dismiss me. I'm developing more life skills little by little. Stop overthinking and continue to grow through love and respect for others. Material possessions are finally becoming to not mean as much to me as it did in the past. Financial stability is my biggest focus. Good topic, fellas. We appreciate that. Yeah, and like she said, sometimes in some of our families, they do dismiss us. Like she said, she feels dismissed, and she's coming to grips with not always been obsessed with material.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, not her, just the material. We're so caught up in these material things, and like she will put out, she's not thinking about these material things anymore. She's getting past that, and she's starting to have a more stable mind. So that goes to show she's maturing, and that also goes to show that she's letting some of these petty things go, such as materialism. So it was a good comment. We appreciate
It,
that.
it really is. I wanted to jump on that too because this young lady, she's always commented on our broadcast. But and I often say this when people say comments, but I'm going to give her props. Of all the shows we've ever done, and we've done many shows, and I've read many of her comments, and I've listened to you read them. This, my friend, is the best comment she's ever made. She will never make a comment that's as profound. What great profundity that we have on this screen, because the first part is what I like, what she says, I'm learning to live my best life. That's what life is all about, Chaz. It's got to be the best. It can't be mediocre. It can't be subpar. It has to be your best life. And I know there's songs out there now talking about living our best life, but that's talking about drinking and partying and having fun and all that. But we're talking about just living. This is so practical and pragmatic. Just living.
See, I kind of want to push back, brother, just a tad bit.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with living a mediocre life. When I say mediocre life, you got a job, you got a car, and you doing enough, or you have enough cash to pay your bills. To me, that's a nice mediocre lifestyle. That's what I would consider. Now, to her and some others, their best life may be, like you said, flying to Hawaii, flying to Cancun. There's nothing wrong with that. But to me, like you just mentioned, brother, I don't think there's anything wrong with living just a mediocre life where you going to work, coming home, you have a kid, or you paying your bills. I think it's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and we're on the same page too, because I'm agreeing with you 100%. And when we use the word mediocrity, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. That means you're stable. That means you're
Oh,
not under.
oh,
You're above water. You see, because a lot of us are under the water. But again, this was a beautiful comment. So let's
right.
keep going because this is what this broadcast is all about. We may not get through all of our points. We can pick it up next week because right now, Chaz, we need encouragement. We
Yeah,
really do because
yeah.
there's so much going on, and we just need to talk about the good things that's happening and encouraging people to give us what makes your life worth living.
Sister Mashonda fires in here. She says, today I celebrated my 47th birthday and I'm very grateful for my life. Well, happy
Wow.
birthday. We
Yeah,
appreciate that you still
yeah,
are around for 47 years. There's a lot
yeah.
of people have been gone through these 47 years, so that's a good thing. And she
Mhm.
says she's grateful for her life, so we appreciate that.
And notice she didn't complain because when we get older, some of us we don't like to see them birthdays rolling around because you know and I know that means that you're getting closer and closer to checking out of here. But
Yeah.
the closer we get to leaving, we should be more excited because we live, as the sister said earlier, our best life. So whatever's in front of us, we should be excited because we
Yeah.
feel that life. So that's wonderful for her to say she celebrated her 47th birthday and she's very grateful. She's not complaining. She's not belly aching. She's not talking about how many aches she has and all this stuff. She's saying that she didn't say I'm grateful. She says, I'm very grateful. And sometimes,
That's
Chaz,
good.
we just have to say those kinds of things because that's important. It really is.
Yeah, and I was gonna say once again, I know some people may say, well, he's taking this over the top or he's been too dramatic. Well, but I'm serious. It is a miracle to be alive for 47. All you gotta do is look at these news stories, kids, teenagers, 14, 15 years old dying, 10, 11-year olds dying. So once again, to be around for 47 years and you still got your right mind, that's a miracle. So yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate you for coming in
What
here.
makes life worth living? We should have comments just oozing in because life should be something that we want to talk about and encourage others if we're living that life that we should be living. Here's another thing that makes life worth living.
Letter E, empowering thoughts. Realizing you have the power to choose positivity over negativity. Yep, and that's kind of what we just said a few minutes ago about having, I would say, what a clean thought process where when things get you down, you don't dwell on them for days, you don't dwell on them for weeks. You look at
Beautiful,
them, you're
beautiful.
angry for a minute or you're sad for a few seconds, then you let it go and try to push positive thoughts in your mind instead of dwelling and dwelling and dwelling on things for months and weeks upon time.
And this is a big portion. This is a big part of how we see life. When we realize we have the power to choose calmness over chaos, but we also have the power to choose positivity over negativity. You know, we've been negative, many of us, for too many years, for so long.
Right.
Now it's time to be positive. Now we're not saying that when things happen to us, we act like it didn't happen to us. But we are saying that positivity will get you at least 5 to 10 more years as opposed to always being negative. Every time you look around, there's a boogeyman under the bed. Every time you look around, you're just always complaining. Everybody is against you. Woe is me. I can't do this. I don't want to do that. I'm hurt. My bones ache. I can't eat. I can't sleep. We have to be positive because that's going to bring something in our lives that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But positivity is what we need now in our lives. We've got to have positivity. Like Kevin and I were talking last night on the broadcast, the N word and all of that. A lot of that is negative.
Yeah.
So we need positivity because we've been done wrong for so many years that we need to be positive.
And I just want to piggyback real quick before we go into this one. As you mentioned, people that always complain saying, woe is me, you can't do this, you can't do that, the government and the world is out against me. Here's the thing, when you constantly live like that weeks and weeks and days upon days, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have high blood pressure, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to take some kind of medication or prescription. So my best advice is to stay off of that kind of mindset because, and I'm not taking jabs at people who take medication or things like that. But 9 times out of 10, that's how it happened. They got hooked on the medication because they had to keep stressing about things that probably was out of their control. So try to stop stressing. As we move on to letter F, compassionate thoughts, thinking from a place of understanding and care. Yes, absolutely. See, this is really, really needed in this society because we see people who have heartache. They go through terrible things, car crashes, car wrecks, homes going on fire, and just some things that are unfortunate. And 9 times out of 10, you ask that next person's opinion, they say, "Oh, that's what he gets, or that's what she
Yeah.
gets. That
Yeah.
they deserve that." Now, some things they are deserved, but we have to be more careful and be more compassionate for others, especially when these things are out of their control. Because in this society, brother, a lot of us we don't have any compassion for anybody anymore. It seems like.
And the reason I was snickering when you were talking is because I know a lot of people who are heartless. These are some cold blooded people. These people are just mean because compassionate thoughts are things that we all need because we all need to understand. We need to care for people. And that's why the world is in a bad fix now because there's so many non-caring people that it seems like those people are getting the leg up. Whereas we should have so much compassion, especially when you look at what's going on in our communities and in our lives and in our families. So this whole ideal of compassionate thoughts, we gotta have understanding. That doesn't mean we have to agree with everything, but
Right.
we have to understand when a person falls on hard times and it's not their fault. We should not just be compassionate, but we should be doing things to help that person instead of saying, I'll pray for you and all of that. Which if that's what they want to do is fine, but we got to start doing things, man, because that's what we need now. And I mean, and it's fine. It's fine to do all those other things because that's important, I guess. But the
Right.
point I'm trying to make is we've got to be understanding and realize that that could be you, that could be me, and
Yeah.
we all fall on hard times, or we all fall on just maybe illnesses and sicknesses, and we need some type of compassion.
Let me ask you real quick. Where did you think the compassion less people? When did people stop being so compassionate? When did this come about, and why did it come about?
Good question. I would say it came about when people have been treated so bad themselves personally, and they begin to internalize that. So what they do is, instead of saying that's just something that happened to me, but now I'm gonna move on and keep on going. But it happened to them over and over. And it's true. Everybody seems like they were getting out to get them when they were growing up. And instead of dismissing it, like we said earlier, and having empowering thoughts, we held on to it. So now we're out to get the next man. Do unto others and then split. See, that's what it is. So what we're doing now is we have no compassion because we've been treated so wrong all of our lives. We do other people like that, and we're just cold-hearted and we're callous. And this is a problem, but this is where many of us are.
Okay. Well said. Letter G, forgiving thoughts. Letting go of a past hurts or disappointments to move forward. You have to. You have to, because when things have happened, like you said, as a teenager growing up, or things in our adult lives that have happened, instead of us saying, you know what, that hurt me, I moved on, we are still holding on to things that 9 times out of 10, the person that did that to you, they're not even thinking about that anymore. They've moved past that. They got other things going on in their lives. And in fact, when we see the person who did that to us, we still tell them, "You remember what happened? What you did to me in 1965?" They're not even thinking about that anymore. And the fact that you're still harping and dwell up on that, you're going to only mess yourself up. You're going to give yourself high blood pressure. And 9 times out of 10, like I mentioned earlier, that person is not even thinking about that anymore. So why should you keep dwelling upon that? Because it's only going to make you sick and hurt in the end.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people say, well, they don't know what I'm going through. They don't know what I've been through. We don't know what you've gone through. We don't know what you've been through. But what we're saying is, once you get done internalizing that, once you get done crying, once I get done belly aching, once I get done telling the world what happened to me, at some point in our lives, we've got to move on, man.
Right.
And
Right.
it has really crushed us in a way because some of us are still living like that. We just, something happened to us a long time ago, and yes, it was devastating. Yes, it was monumental, but we still, every time we try to take one step forward, we go back to the same thing. And it's like at some point in time, we're going to have to forgive ourselves
Yeah.
and move
Yeah.
on, because
Yeah.
that is something that I think it really, really hurts us.
Yeah, we have to forgive people, because that people who believe in the Bible, they say that if you don't forgive your others, the God won't forgive you. So that's a thought for the people who believe in the Bible. Sister Barbara chimes in. She says, processing one's thoughts before reacting to every negative situation has also helped me. Absolutely. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
thing.
yeah. You have to look at what's going on in your life, and you have to see the situations as they come, and then you have to say, "I'm going to respond in this way."
Right.
It's not always, oh, as soon as it happens, let me get back. Let me get one leg up. It's not about that. It's about
Right.
making sure that your mind is in a good position where no matter what comes our way, we can address it, we can let it affect us, but then we can move on, and we can also know that in life things are going to happen. So this is a beautiful, encouraging broadcast, because a lot of us, we you can let go. We
Yeah.
can let go of this. You can do it. We want you to do it.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, that's how brother Tyler Perry makes his money. And I know that's his stick. That's what he does. That's how he makes his money. But that's how he gets his money, is because he plays upon our past trauma and hurt. And he makes these movies. And a lot of us flock to the movie theaters to see it because we're so obsessed with these movie themes. So it says, how should one be living that makes life worth it? Okay. By enjoying life, ask yourself this question: are you happy about life? For the most part, I would go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was laughing because what you're about to say. Go ahead and say it, Chaz.
Okay,
But
yeah, I would say for me personally, I'm enjoying my life. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing things that make me happy on the weekends. Like I said, that not drinking and smoking and things like that, but just little things like exercise that make me happy. And for the most part, I'm in good health. I'm not confined to a wheelchair. I'm not hooked up to tubes in the hospital. I'm not taking jabs at those people. I'm just saying these are things that make me think that I'm doing okay in life and I still have a sound mind. How
Well,
about yourself, brother?
I want to add to that, but I want to say something about you, Chaz, because we have a viewer that watches this broadcast religiously, and
Okay.
she said that she thought you were going to put in something about those books that you play, those word search, those words. She says that makes you
What?
happy. You love those word searches. She says every time we do a broadcast, you get that in some kind of way. And I said he enjoys. He really enjoy. That makes him feel good. But
Yeah,
she's
and I do. And that's just like you when we do our broadcast. You always normally we get something in. You normally take a shot at or jab at Steve Harvey. He normally comes in. So yeah, I do. I love my word searches. They do make
there it goes,
make me
y'all. There it
sound.
goes. Yeah. Well, it relaxes you. What does it do for you, Chaz? As we continue to talk, what does that do for you? Because you always talk about it.
Well, of course, it relaxes me. It keeps my mind sharp, and then it kind of helps. Like when I'm talking to people, sometimes some of the words that I've constantly seen throughout these word searches, it helps me with my words, and it helps me with my spelling. Because I'm telling you, when you get older, some of these words you start to forget, and when you're constantly doing those word searches,
Yeah.
they help you with so many factors, especially keeping track of how you spell words. So you don't want to be misspelling words, and I go on and on, but it has a lot of brain benefits. So I would suggest people get one if they can. They're cheap.
There it goes, y'all. There it goes. But yeah, but you asked the question to me, am I happy about my life? And it says for the most part, because we're not gonna sit on this broadcast and we're not gonna say every waking day, I'm always happy. I'm always in a great mood. That's a lie, and the truth is not in us. But it
Right.
says for the most part. For the most part, Chaz, I can smile. For the most part, I have fun. For the most part, sometimes I get silly. Sometimes I'm serious. So it's a lot of different compartments, but for the most part, man, I love life and I want everyone to enjoy life no matter how we feel. I don't always feel the best, but Chaz, I can't sit around all day moping about how my body aches and things of that sort. I have to look at life for what it's worth. And I know that there's going to come a time, and every day I wake up, it's getting closer and closer to the end. So, as I said earlier, I want to go out with a bang. And the only way I can go out with a bang is I got to have the right mindset and I got to enjoy myself. I got to enjoy people. And I just got to have fun in a way that when I go to sleep, I have a little semi smile on my face.
Absolutely, that's well said. Sister Mashonda fires in here. She says, "I work at a psych hospital. I have compassion for those patients. It's a sad situation when you see these people were once normal and now they're not. I often wonder how they were before they had mental issues. It makes me very grateful to still have a right mind." That is a tough one to swallow. That was a good comment. Now I'm gonna break this up. She said that she's happy that she still has a sound mind. I said that about myself as well. I'm glad that I have one. But she said that she knows these people at once upon a time, they were casual people like you and me. And all of a sudden, I don't know, life hit them, maybe drugs or alcohol, food poisoning. Something happened to them that altered these people for the rest of their lives. And
Yeah.
now she sees these people in a different condition, in a different mind frame, where they're acting on a character, doing crazy things, and just angry all the time. And she's trying to have compassion for these people because she sees that they're not right in the head. And
That's
it takes a strong person to do that kind of job. I tell you that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's another one of those profound statements. And she's watched this broadcast as well many times. All this great knowledge coming through social media, all these great, profound statements, these deep, insightful statements. I like these statements because I'm learning from these statements because she says, I have compassion for the patients. She didn't say she didn't talk about them. She
Right.
didn't tease them. She didn't make fun of them like some of the, and I'm always on the comedians like you always in your little word search, but these some of these comedians, somebody gets hurt and they're invalids and then they get on stage and they tease these people and we laugh at them, but that's not funny, man. And compassion is due. If it was your mother, if it was your brother, if it was your father, your sister, your uncle, aunt, it wouldn't be funny then, see. So
Yeah.
I'm saying she's got to have a heart for people, and working in that kind of environment and capacity, she has the perfect attitude because she's saying that she has compassion for them and she realizes that it's sad. She's reflecting. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's a part of making your life worth living, is reflecting.
Yeah, and I would say, and she probably knows this, but she can't take it personal when some of these patients lash out or throw things or say things to her. It's not her personally. It's that these people are dealing with things mentally that are out of their control. And I think the quicker people realize that, the quicker people will stop having this envious mindset. Because I know a lot of people who could possibly work in that field would say, you know, such and such ticked me off. I had a bad day. Well, you got to understand, those people aren't in their right mind. So you got to, like they said, take that for the team and chalk it up.
Chaz, you getting roasted tonight on this broadcast. You are getting roasted.
Sister Barbara Flowers here. She says he is obsessed with them. We go all the way to Elmendorf, Texas, just to purchase. LOL.
Purchase
Yeah,
what, Chaz?
I
Purchase
like them
what, Chaz? Purchase what?
to purchase these at the store, the Dollar Tree or so. They
Yeah, but
have certain. They
the,
have these certain.
those
Huh?
books. You talking about those
Yeah,
word
those.
searches?
Yeah,
Oh,
those.
come on. You all the way to Elmendorf for a word search?
No. Well, I get more than that, but I'm saying my main target is those because normally it's only a few stores that really have them. Walgreens and Walmart, they're kind of expensive and don't really see that much.
One day I'm gonna let you do a broadcast all by yourself. I'm not gonna be on the broadcast, and you can talk to us and give us a soliloquy, and you can give us a dissertation on word searches, because this is what you have been reduced to. But I mean, it's a beautiful thing, because we
Yeah,
have to realize that there's something that has to make us happy. And as we said earlier, there's a lot of aspects of life. We said we should enjoy life. Life
yeah.
should be making us happy. But here's something else that should make life worth living.
Number two, love and connection. I would say that as far as like family that we're connected to, loving them that are still alive. As far as connecting with others, not only family, some of the coworkers that you may work with or people you may meet online. Connection and having a sense of belonging, because when you have these things, you're not depressed, you're not lonely, and you're constantly having communication with others. So that way, you're not always depressed and feeling sad and angry and uptight all the time.
This is a mean world, Chaz, and a lot of us have a lot of hatred towards one another. We have a lot of mean aspects in us, and love is what's important. Love is something that we should display more of. We got to take these days, every day that we take, we cannot take them for granted, because we're just like you and I are here right now doing this broadcast. It's not guaranteed that next week we both are going to be here. So,
Right.
we have to connect with people. We have to tell people how much we appreciate them. We have to connect. Enjoy every moment, guys. Girls, enjoy every moment. Love people. Connect with people. Because I'm telling you now, every day we wake up is one day closer to that great day that's going to come, that none of us know what happens, but we all are getting closer to that. So tonight, we want you all to just enjoy yourself. Enjoy life and just start smiling and thinking good thoughts about yourselves, and doing what you do, Chaz, sometimes, which here's another comment about what you're doing. Here we go.
Sister Mashada Fires here. She says you can do word search on your phone. I do them too. Well, the thing is, I try not to do them on the phone because I try to eliminate my phone use as much as possible. And that way you don't have all that radiation and technology bombarding you at one time. So that's why I try to go to the old fashioned ways, the books, to get away from the phone. But
Y'all,
this is a
y'all,
good
y'all,
comment.
y'all leave him alone. Quit commenting about he and those word searches, because he has an answer for everything. We don't want to hear all of this stuff tonight about words. So leave him alone. Quit putting comments on there about that word search, because he can go on and on and on.
Sister Barbara Fires here. She says, teach y'all. Okay.
Yeah. We,
Appreciate
we
that.
have we have to teach on this aspect of love and connection. Chaz, here's my situation, and this is something that you could help me on. This is what I think.
Okay.
I think we take each other for granted, and we don't enjoy life. I think we assume that every day is going to be just like yesterday. And I don't think we sit back, as they say, and smell the roses. We don't sit back and think about life in the bed at night, or throughout the day, or looking out the window and contemplating and ruminating in our minds, saying to ourselves, wow, I'm going to call someone and say, I was thinking about you. I really appreciate the times we have. And, just that's that whole love and connection. We don't do enough of that, but we sure can get on that thing and talk about people when
Yeah.
something happens. We can do that now, but we have
Yeah.
to do that.
Number three, growth and maturation. Yep, especially throughout the years, there should be growth where not only mentally but spiritually, you should have a maturity factor where you may have done certain things when you were 15, 16, 17, but when you were 28, 29, and 30, hopefully you're still not doing the things that you were when you were 14, 15, or 16, and that's that maturation. And especially, like I said, when you're an adult, there should be a time where you could look back and say, well, I used to do those things, they were negative, they weren't that good. In fact, I'm not proud of myself for doing it. But now you say I'm past that and I move forward to bigger and better things in my life.
Now, this is a powerful statement if you look at it. What makes life worth living? Growth, maturation. We should look forward every day to growing up, to stop being so childish in our thinking. We should challenge ourselves. Some of us should be a little bit older mentally than we are with the numeric number because we've been through life and we all have stories to tell about things we've all gone through. But you would think that those things would help us mature, you see,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can teach the young, so that we can teach the foolhardy, so we can teach the people as they grow up to say, hey, I don't have all the answers, but they can see the maturation in us as opposed to them seeing us act like little children.
Yeah.
So growth is something that we should look forward to. What makes life worth living? Growing up. You don't want to be a child all your life.
Right.
So that's a part of life is growing and maturation.
Number four, creativity. Life should allow you to be yourself as you grow mentally. I'll let you take that and I'll just piggyback off of
Yeah,
it.
because Sister Zuri, she said, or Sister Barbara, she said it best. She said something about, and I might misquote her, but the point of what she said earlier is, I don't care what people think about me. It's not like I'm trying to be mean and I'm being just rambunctious and I'm trying to, get people to hate me like some of the wrestlers do. That stage act. It's not that. It's not that. It's just that when you tell the truth and when you live your life the way it should be lived, a lot of people aren't going to like you. But so to be creative, you have to allow yourself to be who you are. That's the
Yeah.
only way you're going to grow. So people may not like you, but that's not important. What's
Right.
important is that you have to be yourself. And,
Right.
and if you want to have a little fun sometime and you laugh or you do something silly, that's fine. You can't be the way everybody wants you to be, but you have to be creative in life. And a lot
Right.
of us, we want people to think we're stiff.
Right.
We're stoic. We don't laugh. We don't have fun. But it's fun. That's why doing these broadcasts with yourself and Brother
It,
Kevin, we
yeah.
laugh a lot. We have fun because people need to understand that we are human beings and we've got to have fun, or else it wouldn't be worth doing to me.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off what you said. Now, there's a few people who do know me. They ask me, well, why do you wear your hair like that? Or why is it like that? And this, and that. And I tell these people all the time, it's not about you. I don't care what people say. And I tell them that. And sometimes they get offended. They say, well, why do you keep living like this? Don't you want to be like this and that? And I keep telling them in a nice way, this is how I want to wear it. If you don't like it, don't look at me. Case closed.
Come on, Chaz. Now go on. Now you going off the cuff now.
Well, no, I just had to say that because I get that a lot, and it's like, okay, and it's not to be rude or arrogant or
Yeah,
cocky.
be
It's
yourself. Yeah,
just
be
that's
yourself.
how I want to wear my hair. This is
Yeah.
how I'm gonna wear it.
I would tell them like the young folks say, "This is me." Love
Okay,
it or leave it. This is me.
okay.
Yeah. Here's another beautiful point as to what makes life worth living.
Number five is curiosity, wanting to find something out. And that's a good way where you could be studying, you could be learning a certain trade or learning something, and you're trying to figure out, well, in the next 2 years, where is this going to get me? In the next month, where am I going to be? I want to see where this takes me. I want to see where my plan gets me. And it is a good way to be positive because you know that there could be something positive on the other side. So even with death, like we just talked about, we don't know what's going to happen. We study and we think we know what's going to happen. That's even curious to say, okay, once I take my last breath on this earth, what happens to me? So
Yeah.
you always want to be curious, finding these things out because it gives you something positive to look forward to.
Yeah, Chad. Now, wouldn't life be boring if there were no curiosity and you never want to know anything? And some of us live like that. We go to work, or if we're not working, we sit around, we watch television, or we're on the phone. We don't want to know anything. We don't want to do anything. I have a student, and I can't mention her name, but I have a student, and every time we do things, whether we go out, field trips, and all that, she doesn't like to do anything. And so I'm
Wow.
talking with her now, trying to encourage her. She's getting a lot better, but
Okay.
she's at the point where she's getting ready to take that leap. But she just doesn't like to find things out. And but as a child, I can give her a pass because she's a kid. But I'm
Okay.
talking about us adults. You don't want to find anything out. This is why people tease me a lot because I'm always researching. I'm always looking at words. I'm always looking at definitions. I'm always looking at meanings. I'm always looking at history. I'm always looking at science. I'm always looking at things because this makes life worth living. I want to
Right.
find something. I'm curious, man. I'm not just going to believe everything I hear. I got to check things out. I want to do my own investigating. So curiosity is a beautiful thing, but unfortunately, a lot of us, we don't want to do it. But this makes life worth living. To wake
Yeah.
up, try to find something out instead of sitting around, I don't want to know anything. Life would be boring if that was how we were, and some of us are like that.
Yeah. Number six, nature. Nature should bring peace, beauty, and a deep feeling of connection to the world. And that's the thing. A lot of us don't enjoy nature. We don't want to see the trees. We don't want to do grounding. And like I said, and people that I tell about grounding, it's just simple. And this is an ancient practice. You go outside when it's sunny, you put your feet up on the cement or the grass for about 4 to 5 minutes, and it actually charges you up and it actually heals you a little bit. These are things that connect you with nature. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, when people go to the beach or take trips to Hawaii, if you notice people who take their shoes and socks off, they're grounding in the sand. That's what that is. They're applying their selves to nature. So it's not a weird concept. It's just something that people should be aware of. But these are things that help us connect to the world. But once again, a lot of us, we don't want to connect. All we want to do is lay in the bed, lay in the chair, stay on our phones, watch TV, and connecting with nature and grounding. These are things that don't concern us. They really don't, for the most part.
Yeah, and nature should bring peace. It makes life worth living. To be able to enjoy nature. These are some beautiful points here because that's one thing I regretted. I never learned how to swim, but sometimes when I would see people swim, even now, I marvel at how they go underwater and come up, and I am so jealous of them because I wish that's something I would have learned. But now all I can do is go out to a park. I can put my little feet in the water and stuff, but it's amazing to see how they connect with nature. Or when I'm walking in a park, when I do my exercise, I'm able to smell the air. I'm able to hear the birds chirp. People say that's corny, that's boring. No, that's what makes life worth living because
Right.
nature is here for us. In fact, we are nature. So we're just connecting with who we are. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we should all take pride in and stop running from nature because it's not something
Yeah.
that's bad.
And I would advise people, like I said, the next time they can, to try grounding. And most of the time, people don't really pay you any attention anyway. So just try it, especially if you're out at the beach or a park. Try it and see if you get any benefits from it. I know I do. Sister Mashana fires in here. She says, "Give me a beach every day."
Beautiful, beautiful.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah,
a fun, relaxing place where you can let your hair down, sit in the shade with your sunglasses on, and like I said, just enjoy the other people around you having a good time and just having a good time. That's
yeah.
what it's all about. But
Yo,
sometimes with the beach, you kind of hate it because it's so hot and you have to spray that stuff on your skin so you're not getting bitten, and you can get uh you can get tired from all that heat and that sun on you. So it's kind of like a balance. Be out there maybe for 10 to 15 minutes, but you don't want to get dehydrated and pass out there. But I get her point. What she's saying is the beach is relaxing, so we appreciate her comment.
if you catch that thing on the right day though, Chaz, on you catch the beach on a beautiful day when it's cool and everything, man, that's a beautiful thing, man. What she's saying, and instead of her saying and other people saying, give me barbecue every day, because see, a lot of us we like barbecue, so it's nothing wrong. Listen, there's nothing wrong with going to a park
Yeah.
and barbecuing and having fun.
Yeah.
See, that's a part too. That's what makes life worth living. See, but I don't mean doing it every day, or like one of our friends said, living for the weekend. But
No, one of my other brothers that he used to homeschool you. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was really angry with you one day. He came to school and his father was notorious for barbecue, and he would do it every now and then. And that student looked at you and me. He said, "I'm angry." We said, "Why, brother?" He said, "Because my caregiver, he won't barbecue every day." We said, brother, that wouldn't be good for your health. But we get that he was just frustrated because he couldn't get that barbecue.
Well, because that's what made life worth living to him, though. See?
Number seven, resilience. The ability to bounce back from whatever comes your way. Absolutely. The thing is with resilience, it's easier said than done, but normally when things hit us that are unexpected, we fold up, we quit, we throw in the towel, we don't come outside, we shut the curtains, we shut the
Yeah,
door, we turn our phones off, put it on do not disturb. We can't bounce back. But the thing about being resilient is when you can bounce back and the other people around you can say, I remember when you overcame such and such. I remember when you overcame, losing your job and you were angry and now you found a better job and now you're back on top of the world. That's what makes life worth living because here's the thing, and I'll pass it to you. Things are going to come at you unexpectedly. And if you don't have the mental capacity to deal with it, you're gonna fold up. So you have to deal with these things as best as you can without lashing out or on others.
yeah, the ability to bounce back from whatever. Notice it says from whatever comes your way. And a lot of us have been kicked in the teeth. We've been drugged through the mud. We've been done all kinds of ways, but the ability to bounce back from whatever comes your way is a testament to what makes life worth living. Because to make life worth living, you have to be able to hit back when
Yeah.
you got staggered, or when you're laying against the ropes and when you get the standing eight count. These are boxing metaphors to those who know this. When you're getting your brains slugged out, but then to be able to
Come
hold on.
on, man.
No, I'm just using this analogy to hold on to life and realize now that your head is clear, you bounce back. Now you can jab this rascal as far as life. Now you can go ahead and do what you got to do and probably knock this thing out and be victorious because life is like that, man. Life is
Yeah.
like that. We have to
Yeah.
be able to bounce back from whatever come our way, and it's a lot of stuff coming our way. And I'm taking this lesson to heart. We have a play that we're coming up doing, Chazz. You're in it, and it's called Broken Glass. And we'll do a broadcast about abuse coming up with show trailers, but uh August the 30th and 31st. But I'm getting kicked in the teeth a lot. I'm on this cell phone trying to call people to get sponsorship. But I'm not worried about it, Chaz. I don't fret that. I'm not going to go home and get a gun and play Russian roulette because things aren't going my way. It's just that every day I bounce back, man. And then when I get those calls that I need or I see some leads, then I'm happy. So because I know I can't give up. But that's
Yeah.
that's what we all have to do.
Yeah, and it's hard, like you said, when you're doing these plays, you want everything to go as planned. You want them to go smoothly, but like you said, sometimes they don't, and you gotta fight back. And that's what makes people like Brother Malcolm X and all these guys like Marcus Garvey and all these other good people so sharp. It was because they were able to fight back and they didn't let circumstances make them fold up. They kept fighting back. Letter eight, legacy. To leave something behind for others to enjoy when you're gone. I'll let you take that one as I take one more swig real quick.
Yeah, because that's like, say for example, my students. Now, when I'm gone and they're adults, they're going to remember something I taught them. That's legacy right there. It's not always money, it's not always fame, but it's something that you said or something that you've done, something that someone can attest to, some kind words that you said that you're known for. When you leave, they would say, I remember Chaz, and he would always say this. And see, these things keep in people's hearts, man. So we have to leave something behind. That's what makes life worth living. What am I going to leave behind to those who are younger and even to those who are older? What am I going to be known for? Blowing hot air or belly aching or bloviating, as they say, or using a lot of bluster? Well, what am I going to
Yeah.
what am I going to be known for? I want to be known for something that's positive, something like education. He always taught. He was always running his mouth trying to help people and encourage people. That's what I wanted. That's what I can leave behind.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not always about, and I think that's what we got it twisted. We think legacy is always money and fame and leaving a bunch of cash for our grandchildren, all that. If you are in that position to do that, more power to you. But it's not always about that, like you mentioned. It's about a legacy of how we live life. How can the people who live with us, how can they attest to us when they say, yeah, this brother used to do this, this, and that. His lifestyle was pure. He wasn't really into this, this, and that. These are things that should be worth living. So that way, when we die, people who can attest for us and say, this is what this brother did, or this is what this sister did, and this is how they live their lives, so that way they can have something to look forward to. It's kind of like a game plan, basically, how I would put it.
Yeah, because I would look at it too, like when you leave this earth, when people think about you, because they may not say anything, but just the thought itself, when they think of you, what comes to their mind when they think of you? That's a legacy right there. Will it be foolishness? Will it be folly? No, will it be fun? What will it be? Because we all going to have thoughts about. I remember when we may not even say it, but we're going to leave something behind. Will it be vulgarity? Will it be drunkenness? What will it be? So that's good to leave something behind for others to enjoy when you're gone. And we don't mean tangible. If you can, that's fine. But once again, you have to leave something behind for those who are going to still be here.
Sister Mashonda Fires in here. She says, in the words of Tupac, if you fall, stand up and come back for more. Yeah, you got to be resilient. You got to keep fighting back. When you fall down, get back up. That's the beauty of life. And you're going to fall down, but you can't lay down. You got to force yourself to get back up.
That's good. Now, this is going to be our last point because we'll pick it up next week because we still have a lot of things to talk about. This is a beautiful broadcast. I didn't know it was going to go over like this. I thought we would get through all these points, but as we see people commenting, there should be comments about what makes life worth living. That's a wonderful question. And it has to be answered, and each of us have to answer it. We touched up on this last point, but let's leave on it because I think this is very important when we talk about what makes life worth living.
A peace of mind, a mind that is stable. Absolutely. And if you can, and I'm not taking jabs or pot shots at the people who are on medication and are on prescriptions, but a peace of mind where you could live on this earth and not take blood pressure medicine, not take medicine for depression, not take medicine for high cholesterol. You can have a peace of mind where you can control these things, where you may get frustrated, you may be angry, you may be sad, but a peace of mind where you're stable. You're not helter skelter. You're not happy one day and sad the next. Happy because you got a raise, and the next day you're sad because you got fired. You got to be what you call just stable all around. No matter what comes your way, you have a peace of mind. You're not flying off at the handle, and you have a grip on life instead of always up and down, helter and skelter.
Yeah, that says a lot right there. A peace of mind. This is what I said earlier, and I want to say it again. If we could ask everyone as far as a consensus, and we ask everyone as a group of people, what is it that we all need as a people? Whether you're African American, whether you're Latino, whether you're European, regardless of whether you're African, I think the consensus would be we know money would be first. but,
Right.
but other than that, or we should say wealth. Other than that, a peace of mind. A lot of our minds have been so infected, man. Our minds are so messed up that we just it's like it's not stable. It's unstable. It's like the wind. It blows, it goes everywhere because life has kicked us all around. And this is something that really is needed in all of our lives is a mind that is stable, a mind that's balanced, a mind that's not topsy-turvy, a mind that's not like you said, up one day, down the next every day. We all do that every blue moon, but I'm talking about every other day is up, down, up, down. Somebody has to do something for you to make you feel good. When they don't, you're angry. You don't want, it's always something. So once again, what makes life worth living? A
And
peace of mind.
And one thing I was going to say real quick, one thing I hate about those prescriptions and medications, the people that are hooked on them, they normally have side effects. And the side effects are that it really has your mind all foggy and jumbled up, and you can't really think straight. And that's one thing I despise about these people like Walgreens and CVS and these drugstores is that the medicine that we take for the blood pressure and stuff, it normally messes with our minds. And that's some of the reason why we're always up and down. Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, when my mother was placed in hospice care, I refused to leave her bedside, where I had become ill myself, and remained in the bed next to her when she breathed her last breath. I was broken. Then I had my dad pass in my living for 4 years later. I was broken again. But when my baby died 12 weeks ago, I was broken and broken into pieces. Watching him suffer, then expire. The severe illness and pain, and I received the joy and relief of no longer fearing death as I once did, but acknowledging that I too must. to to this makes life worth living. This sister's been going through a lot of pain. Like she said, her husband, her father, her mother, seeing all that can take a toll on a person. And the fact that she's still stable and sharp, that's a good thing. But I can't even imagine that going
Yeah.
through death like that, back to back to back, and seeing their loved ones in those critical positions like that will really mess somebody up. And for her to still be, firing on all cylinders, and she's still able to, have a sound mind is really, really good. But I'm sorry that those deaths came at you like that. I'm really sorry about that.
But to say at the end of all of that, this is what I want to put back on the screen right here. All that you just said and that she's experienced, which is true, it affected her. We understand that. But to say this at the end, that's the part that I'm really just taken aback by, because she says this. When she say this, she's talking about everything that she just mentioned in this, all of that. She's saying this makes life worth living. This is profound, man. This is fantastic. This is monumental. It's so deep that I can't even fathom. But yet I realize that that's a strong person to be able to say that and not to be bitter with world and say I feel like a motherless and a fatherless child and all these songs we sing in these different places. And but to say all of this stuff at the end of that, we've got to end this. We've got to end this on this note, Chazz, because
Yeah,
I just can't believe how people go through a lot, and yet when it's all said and done, this is what they're saying, that this is what makes life worth living. When you just lost your mother, you just lost your father, you just lost your husband, and I know health-wise everything may not be great. I know people don't treat you right all the time, but to end up with this makes life worth living. This is beautiful, man. And this is what
yeah,
we need to talk about again next week, Chaz, because these comments now just really help me, because we always talking as we put comments on the notes on the board here. But these comments are they're just awesome, and I appreciate people being honest about that, because this is wonderful. But what do
yeah.
you have to say, Chaz?
Man, that was a bad. Well, it was a good way, like you said, to lead the broadcast. Just a lot of pain that sister went through. But yeah, these are things that make life worth living. And my main thing that I can come up with is resilience. It's like I said, life is going to throw so much at you. Some expected, most of it will be unexpected. But it's how we bounce back. Will we have a sound mind? Will we always blame others for our misfortunes? Will we always point the finger at others when things don't go our way? Will we always have a negative mind frame and not say, you know what, I did go through this, but I can fight back? Will we always look at like I said, a boogeyman being under the table, or will we say, you know what, this is life? I gotta be thankful for the cards that I'm dealt and try to make the best of it. That's my main soliloquy, if you will.
Yeah, this is a wonderful broadcast because we're talking about encouragement, and that's what we all need. We don't need to be beat up anymore. We don't need to be kicked around. We don't need to be talked to like we're animals. We need encouragement, and this life that we live should be that which gives us encouragement. We should not be old stogies all the time, frowning up, looking sad like a frog or something. We should be happy. We should be able to laugh. We should be able to smile. Don't take yourself too serious. And I don't mean be a comedian or a clown, but I mean, listen, when life deals out all of these misfortunes, we have to be able to withstand those misfortunes, and then to be able to bounce back, and not only bounce back, but to go further into life in this journey, realizing that it's still a beautiful thing, Chaz.
Yeah,
And like the sister said, through all of that, she's still saying this is a beautiful thing. In other words, it makes life worth living, and that's something that I believe we all should continue to just concentrate on. So we'll come back next week, Chaz, and we'll see what we can do about bringing more information on this, because I'm telling you, man, this ideal here of having a peace of mind and what makes life worth living, these are the deep questions. These are some deep questions. And we've done many broadcasts, but this is a deep-seated question that we have. And so
yeah,
here we go. As we go off of here, we have some people saying to us, John the Shem Hotel brothers, we say back from Shem Hotel. Basically, that means peace. But again, Chaz, this has been a great broadcast. Those who
yeah.
are watching this, we're coming back next week, Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time for part two to what makes life worth living. And having said that, Chazz, I'm out of words, man. I'm just full now, as they say. As they say in church, I'm full because these wonderful. These been
Yeah.
some wonderful comments, and sometimes we have to sit back and we want our audience to take the broadcast and run with it, like Brother Raymond he does sometimes. But tonight, I think these comments have really, really been helpful in
Yeah.
what makes life worth living, part two. So let's come back next week. Let's do it again. So are you down for that?
Yeah, I'll be down for it next week.
Okay, then we're out of here, y'all, and we'll see you all next week. So on behalf of Chazz, I'm Jahi. We'll see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.